All right, Coach, I know this is always the hardest part of the season, but you guys were right there with them. What are your thoughts from today?
It's pretty quick here, so it's a tough turnaround, but we were right there with them. But that's what Cam does to people. They hang around, they convert drives, they get a lead, they get you in the position where you're going to have to make plays. And if you don't make enough plays, all of a sudden it spirals. You have to throw the ball, you have to go for it on fourth down. You just get in situations where you're set up for failure, and that's credit to those guys. They did a really nice job of everything. Whether offense, defense, special teams, they executed all the phases. A couple turnovers, a couple big fourth down conversions. They did enough to win, and we didn't today. But hopefully, people realize the game was closer than the score appeared. I mean, it was tight through three quarters, and then it kind of got away from us late.
Yeah, I think it was like a one-score game or a two-score game going into the fourth. You guys led midway through the third. When you look back on this game, what are going to be some of the things that maybe stick out to you?
Just how proud I am of our kids to do enough to get here. We've had a tough road. We lost to Cam middle of the season. We lost a couple seniors for several weeks. We lost another senior for the season. We fought, we clawed, we got those guys back. We got healthy. Kids stepped up in the meantime, did enough to win those games without them, and then made a tough playoff run. You go to Montezuma and come up with a really big kind of win that I think it put us kind of on the map again for people that maybe didn't realize how good this team might be. We go to Waco, we do enough to pull out a victory there. We come here, we struggle and fight, just come up short, but just such a fun season, such a memorable group, such a great group of senior leaders. There was no complaints about who was getting the ball or who wasn't getting the ball, what position guys were playing. We had juniors and seniors only playing special teams, and some of those guys weren't playing a whole lot, but they bought into their roles. They did what was needed for the team, and I'll remember just how selfless this group was.
You're probably the best person to ask this question because you saw him twice this year. Lane Speaker obviously had a big day. What kind of challenges does a guy like that present to a defense?
It's tough because he's so good. I think back to his sophomore year when we played him. He was so good at that cutback, foot in the ground, dynamic cutback. Well, now what they've done to add that is that's kind of their secondary. Now their primary is race you to the edge, and if they outnumber you and he hits a seam, he's gone. So then if you're weak you're slow to attack, you're worried about the cutback, you're slow, they beat you strong side. You start over pursuing that, you start overplaying that. Now that counter game opens up, that backside game opens up, the backside pursuit opens up. So they just do so much well, and that's the challenge because he's so dynamic. And then they've got other guys around him. They've got guys like Tickner, they've got guys like Rich and Kaufman and guys like that do enough, that do so much well. It makes it really tough.
Talk about Gavin's day. He was a workhorse for you guys. He had a really good game, went toe for toe there in the first half, and still did a lot of nice things second half. What did you see from him that you liked?
Just such a competitor. He was taking some shots. He was doing a nice job of making some things on his own. They did a really nice job muddying things up in the box. We didn't have a whole lot of clean running lanes, but give our kids credit. There was a lot of kids, whether it was Gavin and others, did enough today to keep us in the game for a while. We just didn't make enough plays down the stretch, but I'm not going to hold that against our kids. They bought in, they fought tooth and nail. There's no one else I'd rather have done this with. My assistant coaches, our seniors, just such a memorable season. I think people kind of take for granted, hey, you had a good program, hey, you were ranked and you got to the Dome, but getting to the Dome is tough. Getting to the semifinals is tough, and we had a tough road. Our kids went on the road and won a couple games. Just extremely proud of our group this year.
All right, Cade Tickner, a large part of Cam's success today. Cade, you guys are one win away from the first state championship in program history after a win over Audubon. Just what are the thoughts right now?
There's no way to explain how we're feeling right now. It's a very special moment for everybody. Our fans are excited. We're all excited. We just want to go get it done one more time.
What's a game like this like to be a part of? Obviously, no secrets between you guys, very familiar with each other, very high-quality opponents, back and forth as well in the first half. I'm sure kind of an emotional roller coaster today.
Absolutely. They're a great team. We've played them twice now. We know all those guys. They're great kids, a great team. It's a great program, obviously. We know what they're going to do, and they know what we're going to do. So it's always an exciting game, and we knew it was going to be a dogfight, and it was right away. So, yeah.
You did some nice things offensively. You had a rushing touchdown. You had a receiving touchdown. Kind of take us through those.
I just know I got to get every yard I can when I get the ball. So that's kind of my mindset, and, when there's that jump ball up there, I just got to go get it. So that's pretty much all I was thinking.
You're one of the many guys that have paved the way for Lane on this historical year. Speak to what you guys as a unit have been able to do. How do you guys try to approach each game from the offensive line standpoint?
We go into every game knowing we have to control the line of scrimmage, and that's a huge part of our game. So just getting the point of attack blocked is huge for our offense, and getting Lane the room he needs, because obviously he's a special guy. He's going to make stuff happen if you give him room.
Defensively, you guys made a lot of plays down the stretch that were able to seal the game. This defense look scary from an outsider's perspective. What is it that makes you guys click?
You know, we've been working on this defense since we were in middle school with Coach Bauer's program, and I think just seeing it all come together finally, how he wants to and how we want to, is huge. And making plays, and we had a lot of guys make plays tonight. It wasn't just Joe, it wasn't just Colby, it wasn't just Lane. We had Gabe making plays, Austin, Jack, Ethan, everybody was making plays out there. It was awesome.
State championship game next week. What do you expect that to be like?
Whoever we got, it's a state championship game. It's going to be a tough game. I think we just got to have the mindset going into it that we're one of those teams in the state and we can get it done and just make it happen.
Well, another big day for Lane Speaker. Cam's moving on to the state championship game. Lane, this is what you guys have worked for. I know it's not done yet, but what are the thoughts right now?
I mean, words can't describe this moment. I mean, it's truly special, especially being our first trip to the Dome, and now we're going to the state championship. I mean, it makes it even more special playing for the community and all the fans around and Coach Bauer and his coaching staff.
What was the mentality coming in? Kind of an unfamiliar sight for you guys at the Dome. A familiar opponent, though, and a high-quality opponent. Where was the mindset coming in?
I mean, we always knew it's going to be hard to beat Audubon twice. I mean, they're a heck of a football team. They're very well coached, but we just had to stay locked in and we had to stay on our assignments. So we knew we weren't going to be able to make mistakes, and I feel like we did a pretty good job of that, especially in the second half, not making mistakes. So, I mean,
72-yard touchdown run early on in the game. Put you guys on the board first. Take us through that. What did you see?
A big hole, man. I mean, when the line's making holes like that, it makes my job really easy. And even if they put a little hole in there, I mean, I can get through it and bounce off a few tackles. But when they're doing a job like that and creating holes, I mean, it's pretty easy.
You also had a pretty sick spin move for a score. What's the approach? What's going through your mind as you're going through that play?
Well, I figured he'd be lunging to my outside, so I was either going to juke back or do a spin move. I don't really know how I decided that, but did a spin move and ended up in the end zone.
How's the toe feeling? I know you had a little bit of kind of a nick there early on, I think on the goalpost padding, but, I mean, it obviously didn't slow you down.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I thought I broke my toe at first because when I got back up, it was pretty numb, and I turned around and I was kind of wondering why they didn't have that covered up, but it is what it is, and I'll be ready to go next week.
What do you expect next week to be like? Obviously, chance for a first state championship in program history. This is why you play football, so, how do you try to attack it?
We just got to stay focused and keep our heads on. I mean, we got to see who wins first. We're probably going to watch them play, but we just got to stay focused and do our jobs. Can't make any mistakes.
What is it that has made this team click all year?
Just our relentless play and always keeping our heads on. I mean, when everyone's doing their jobs and we're out there having fun, I think we're a pretty hard team to beat.
All right, Coach, a fun one. Obviously no secrets between you two guys, but you're able to finish the game on a 38-0 run to move into a state championship game. Just what's going through your mind right now?
I'm just happy for the kids. I'm happy for our community. And like I said last week, just to see the joys on everybody's faces it means the world to me. And just to go along with these guys with the ride that they're taking us on is absolutely tremendous. And I couldn't be any prouder of the character that these guys show, the community support. I mean, Jiminy Christmas, the blue that you saw on the stands was absolutely phenomenal. And, we're not done yet. We're going to go play for a state title, and that's what we've been shooting for.
Speak to the ups and downs of a game like this. Opponent that you're really familiar with, a really good opponent as well, back and forth first half.
That's what's nervous about it because it's a opponent that it was a two-score ball game in the beginning of the year. It was at their place. They had some players that got back. That was scary, to be honest with you. I mean, they were familiar with us. We're familiar with them. And I think it's just we had to get in the flow of the game. I think it's just first time being here, it's just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and you're going to be just fine. And I think that's what happened in the second half is then finally we just started making plays. So, hopefully next week we'll be used to the confines of this place. It's a little intimidating sometimes, but got to give our kids, they're very resilient. And we had some guys that stepped up and made great plays. I mean, shoot with a strip sack, and then Gabe Rouse as far as fumbling, the interceptions as we go. But one of the things that was the big determining factor, I think, was a fumble, that Gavin had, and we picked him and we scored on that part of it. So I think that was kind of a turning point with a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, obviously, another big day from Lane, but speak more about some of the other guys who stepped up. Jack Fulman was a heat-seeking missile defensively. Colby did some nice things. Cade as well.
Well, I think when you look at Jack, I think he will tell you the first time that we played these guys, he didn't play very well. But I tell you what, being a sophomore and stepping up to a big-time ball game like this, he really stepped it up, and that was really big. Colby, I mean, his athleticism on the outside regarding throwing the football, batting balls down, making some sacks, but also catching the football, but also blocking on the perimeter, that's huge, and we know that he's our guy.
And speak to Lane's day. Obviously, it was another big one. Maybe kind of becoming a little normal.
Yeah, I don't even know what he had, to be honest with you.
289.
Yeah, 289. I mean, it is something to watch him. But from what those guys did up front, you look at Joey Schramm, you look at those big beef guys that they've got up front, and for what our guys did, absolutely tremendous. And then, Lane will just use his athleticism like no other, and that's just awesome. I'm just excited, to be honest with you, Trip.
As you should be. And you guys have had a couple of games in the postseason. I think back to the Fremont Mills game where all of a sudden you just flipped a switch. Kind of a similar thing today. Where do you think that comes from?
I think just internal. I think it's just the pride that they have within themselves and just the resiliency that they have within themselves, but the motivation that they have. They compete with themselves. They're a very competitive group, even though they're kind of loosey-goosey sometimes, and I always say that. They're competitive. And I think now all of a sudden you get a chance to play for a state title, they're going to come out and compete and give it everything they got.
Yeah, I know coming into the year, you were very adamant that you guys hadn't accomplished a lot in terms of deep postseason runs. Obviously, that's not the case anymore. But what does it mean for you guys to be one of the final two standing?
It means the world. It means the world to not only to our football team, but to our community, to our parents, to our fans, to everybody involved. It means the world to us, and to be the final two. You always have to, past coach always told me you have a 50-50 shot. You can put your money down on anybody, but now you have a 50-50 shot.
We don't know yet who you guys are going to face. We'll find out here over the course of the next couple of hours. But, what do you want to see from your team next Thursday?
Just come out and have some fun like they did tonight. Come out and have some fun, lay it all on the line because, they are playing their last game, some of them. Our seniors are playing their last game. Leave it all what they got on the field. We have nothing to lose. Why not us? That's for sure. Why not us?